Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
True Crime Edition. And we have been at this for a while now, so I'm going to jump right into real-time true crime. I have two real-time true crimes today, but my story is, I think, a little short. So, first real-time true crime. Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday 2 tour is coming to Oakland, California on March 1st, and ticketers have dropped the following disclaimer. Please be advised that in accordance with California state regulations, we are obligated to disclose the presence of a level 3 sex offender backstage. Mr. Kenneth Petty, husband to Nicki Minaj, will be present. Attendees under the age of 18 must be accompanied by an adult aged 18 or older. Identification will be verified prior to entry through the metal detectors. We kindly request that attendees refrain from engaging with the aforementioned individual. Individuals under the age of 18 will be mandated to wear a distinctive pink neon vest labeled Child Under 18 and will be directed to a designated pit area reserved exclusively for minors. Security personnel will be stationed in close proximity to ensure their safety and well-being throughout the event. Live Nation extends its gratitude for your cooperation and efforts.
Did we know this was her husband? That he was a
I
level, like...
I read it to my husband, and he said that he did know he was a level 3 sex offender, but that he didn't know what a level 3 sex offender was. So don't worry, I've written down the definition for you. Level 3 is the most serious classification of sex offender and legally indicates a sexual predator. Individuals at a level 3 these individuals have at least one felony charge of first-degree sexual misconduct or 2 felony charges of second-degree sexual misconduct. Those with a level 3 status will be on the registry for life and must report to their sheriff's department 4 times a year. Additionally, they face much more severe restrictions. They cannot live or work within a certain radius where children are likely to be present, like public parks, schools, daycares, and they are considered the most likely to reoffend or be a threat to society.
Oof. And, like,
I
that's not good for, like, what is
that's
that gonna do for her?
embarrassing. I just finished season 6 of Real Housewives of Potomac, and they had the fourth part. They had a 4-part reunion, and the fourth part was completely hosted by Nicki Minaj instead of Andy Cohen, and she was coming for these husbands. Bold of you, Nicki Minaj. The fuck?
And, like, they're literally gonna have to, like, sequester these children in, like,
Yes.
safe zones, like,
and make them wear the vests.
And, like, you know, that has to mean, right, that they already went to Nicki Minaj and they said, you should not bring him.
Yes.
Because we will have to do all this. And she said, no, bitch, I'm bringing him. Yes. Like, surely the first step was to try to get him not there, right?
Right.
Whoa, crazy. Man. That's crazy.
Cannot believe. Yeah. My second piece of real-time true crime is also crazy, but it's not as long. A man was arrested in South Haven, Mississippi after someone escaped 2 days of captivity in his home. The person had been tied up and physically assaulted for 2 days, but escaped after the man holding them captive passed out from consuming alcohol with his medication. That is all I know about that one, but crazy.
I have a couple.
Okay.
I have an update. Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were sentenced to 4 consecutive sentences of 1 to 15 years. That's large.
Mm-hmm.
For aggravated child abuse charges. So that's check, done. And then you made me think of one, but I do not have the details. So, like, surely y'all can look this up. But have you seen the one about that woman that put her baby in the oven and said that she thought it was the crib?
No.
And I'm imagining, since it's on the news and she's been arrested, that the oven was on. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that it resulted in a crime, in
Yeah.
this child's death
I
or
have
injury.
not heard that.
Yeah, I think that's all I saw was basically like the headline. But me and Billy were literally like, you open ovens, you don't
Yeah.
open cribs, you turn dials on
Yeah.
ovens, you don't turn dials on cribs.
You load into the oven from the front, not the
Not
top.
the top. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
They're in different rooms in your house, I presume.
Yeah.
Most people don't have a crib in their kitchen.
Interesting. I will look that up. Today I have 2 cases for you. But they're relevant to one another. And I kind of wish I had switched the order in which I'm telling them, because the first one I think is like much more interesting to me. But the reason I did it like this is because the first one was the one on my list, and then I wrote it and it was not very long, so I had to add another one. But I'd already perfected the first one, so here we go. I do want to give a content warning for harm to children, harm to babies, fetuses, all of that, I guess. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're not.
I just didn't like that you just said, but it's fine.
I don't know. Technically, I don't think any of the children we're going to talk about were harmed. But whatever. Okay. I love a good content warning. On December 6th, 2009, Teka Adams woke up in her hospital room in Washington, D.C., and asked her husband, PJ, where their baby was and how she was doing. Teka had been admitted to the hospital at around 8 months pregnant. Just as she had asked PJ about their baby, a nurse walked into the room to let Teka know that she had successfully given birth to a beautiful, healthy, 8-pound, 2-ounce baby girl who she named Miracle Sky.
Cute.
Truthfully, her birth was nothing short of a miracle. So let's go back to the events that led Teka to that hospital room, because it wasn't labor, and Miracle's birth story was nothing short of horrific.
Okay.
So, when 29-year-old Teka Adams was about 7.5 months pregnant with her baby girl, she began to receive calls from an unknown phone number. On the other end was always a very nice woman who claimed to work at the local homeless shelter where Teka was living. The reason she was calling Teka was because she was doing some charity with the shelter to set pregnant women in need up with supplies such as clothing and car seats. Teka was excited to be receiving this sort of extra support and was eager to meet with the woman. Her husband, PJ, on the other hand, was concerned with the idea of Teka rushing to meet with someone she didn't know. He wanted Teka to be careful with who she was spending her time with, but she knew she could handle herself. Besides, this woman was being so generous and was kind and helpful in their various phone calls. I also think, like, she says she works at this homeless shelter that Teka lives in. And she's like, I know you live at this shelter because I work there. So yeah. I think it's reasonable that she would trust this. Teka was able to meet with this woman whose name was Veronica, and she drove the two of them back to her apartment to pick up the supplies she was offering.
Bitch, you should have brought them.
Yeah.
Put them in the car.
You're meeting to pick me up. No, just bring them to me.
But if I'm 7.5 months pregnant, I'm not that helpful with loading.
Yeah. Come on. When they arrived, Veronica invited Teka to take a seat in her bedroom, which was actually Teka's first time that something was off with Veronica, because there was absolutely no furniture in the room.
Where'd she want you to sit?
She said, "Here, please. Welcome to my home. Have a seat." Teka said, "On what?" The fuck? But okay. Teka obliged.
Imagine that like moment you're just like crossing your legs, slowly lowering to the ground. You're like, yeah.
And you're holding your back because you're 7.5 months pregnant. Like,
and you're like trying not to offend the obviously under what am I looking for? Never mind.
I think eventually they come back to the living room because I think there's like,
Is there furniture in there?
I think there's a situation. I want to say that maybe I'm mixing it with the other story, but I don't know. Maybe not. I thought there was a couch, but I think I'm thinking of the other girl. But yeah, I've heard this story so many times, and I feel like I always pictured them on a couch for some reason. But she said there is absolutely no furniture in this bedroom. But she's like, okay, and like maybe the thought is like, this woman works at a homeless shelter. She probably doesn't make a whole lot of money. She can't afford furniture. That's fine.
She's donated it. She's given it away.
She's
so
too
kind.
generous. Yeah. She said that day they really just hung out and watched movies and talked.
That's not what you're there for.
Well, okay. Veronica, I guess, is very convincing. Come in, stay a while, watch movies on the TV I have, but no furniture.
And she's like, "Where's this stuff?"
Yeah, I came here for a reason. There's literally nothing in this apartment except a TV. So toward the end of the day, Veronica put a new movie in, which Teka said was a bootleg copy of Precious. And PJ called and asked where Teka was. She told him that she was fine, and she later said that she wasn't sure what else to say because she genuinely did not know where she was. He's like, "Where are you?" And she's like, "I don't know." Also, like, Veronica's probably, I'm assuming, sitting right there.
Yeah.
During the
floor.
movie, on the floor with her. During the movie, Veronica suddenly came up behind Teka and threw a heavy quilted blanket over her head and rapidly began to beat her. After being hit in the head about 10 times, Teka jumped up and ran out of the bedroom and to the front door. But it was locked and bolted shut with the chain drawn and the locks at the top and bottom of the door secured. There's like 1,000 fucking locks on this door.
Yo, I was picturing Jeffrey Dahmer.
It's like every horror movie where they have plenty of time and then they get to the door and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Teka had no time to even attempt to unlock the door before Veronica had pulled her onto her back. The two began to wrestle, and at this point, Teka had already been beaten in the head. She was in immense pain, but did everything she could to fight her attacker. There was blood everywhere, her head was pounding, her eyes were burning, and ultimately she wasn't strong enough to overtake Veronica before she grabbed a fireplace poker.
Oh.
She swung at Teka over and over, hitting her about 40 times in the head until Teka passed out. When she woke
and
up,
didn't die?
I know!
Holy shit!
This is why this story, I like had to tell it, because there is not a single thing that I'm going to say in this story that is believable. But it's true.
Oh, I was like,
what? Like, I cannot believe any of this happened.
What the hell?
When she woke up, she was being dragged by her ankles into the kitchen. Veronica knelt down next to her, and before Teka could see what was happening, she felt a sharp pain near her stomach. She looked over and saw a box cutter. Veronica was trying to cut her baby out of her. This attempt to kidnap Teka's unborn baby was actually unsuccessful. But Teka had now been in the apartment for 3 nights.
What the fuck?
Yeah, she's been there for 3 days now. As she was laying in the bedroom on the 3rd night, Veronica came back with a metal bowl, several towels, 2 box cutters, and a knife. Veronica wrapped duct tape all the way around Teka's head, covering everything except her nose so that she could breathe.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
I guess.
Looking out. She began to cut into Tika's abdomen just above her pelvis. The pain was excruciating, and Tika felt everything as her attacker cut through layers of her skin and muscle. Her hands had been tied, and she had grown weak from blood loss. She couldn't move, even as Veronica went in and out of the room to make phone calls or do errands around her apartment. She's taking little breaks for herself in the middle of this.
To do what? Sit on the floor?
You gotta go make a phone call. Yeah, she's like, I have so much to clean. As she was cutting, she cut into Tika's bladder, mistaking it for her water sac.
Dumbass.
Then she spoke to Tika, saying, now I've cut the water sac. All I gotta do is reach in and grab the baby. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to go to sleep? Tika admitted to her attacker that she was in a lot of pain and needed a break. Like, that's just so. Can I have a break, please? Like, not like, please fucking stop. Like, can I just have a break?
Mm-hmm.
After this conversation, Tika passed out. When she woke back up, she could see that the night light in the bedroom was on, and Veronica was in the fetal position asleep. Crazy. Asinine behavior. Tika rolled over on her side. Veronica didn't move. Tika got up on her hands and knees. Veronica didn't move. Tika stood up and stepped 1 foot over Veronica's body. Blood from Tika's stomach dripped onto Veronica's blanket, but she did not move.
Damn, girl.
Tika stepped her
How
other
you sleep
foot.
so solid when you got a crime going on right next to you?
Tika stepped her other foot over her sleeping attacker and made her way out of the bedroom. She continued down the hall, and just before she reached the front door, this is the worst part of this story, I'm so sorry. Her stomach, placenta, and intestines fell out of the slice in her abdomen. She caught her organs in her hand and continued to walk to the front door with one hand holding her insides and one hand on the wall to support her weight. She is holding her stomach and her intestines in her hand. And she's not dead.
This girl ain't had no morphine.
No. Horrible. She slowly unlocked the door.
Still ain't woken up. Like, you know, Tika is not being silent.
Yeah.
Like, shit starts to fall out of her. She probably said, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't heard nothing?
She slowly unlocked the door, opened it with a creak, she said, and made her way out of the apartment and around to the back of the building. Once she was safely away from
apartment.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
Once she was safely away from Veronica's apartment, she began screaming for help and knocking on every door she saw. No one was answering. What the heck? Where you at? She got to the stairs and she collapsed. And then Veronica found her.
No!
She put her arms under Tika's armpits and began to lift her off of the floor. Tika was screaming and biting her hands and fighting like hell to get away from her again. As they were struggling in the stairwell, a man found them and asked what was happening. While Tika was frantically trying to explain to him what had happened to her,
my intestines are in my hands, sir.
I think she had put them back at this point.
Oh, okay.
Badass. How this woman had tried to kill her, how she had been kidnapped. Veronica began to speak over her and told the man that her friend was delusional and crazy and that she was trying to help her. This is when Tika realized that he couldn't see the blood on her shirt because it was such a dark color, so she lifted it up for him. And he immediately told her that he would be calling the police, and he left to go get his phone. That part's wild to me. Where are you going? No, thank you.
Yeah.
Tika said that next, Veronica gave her a look that said, I should have killed you, before running away and leaving Tika to lay bleeding on the stairs until first responders arrived. The lifting up her shirt, to me, is the same energy as you showing a woman on the elevator that Butch had no eye.
I'm gonna spit my coffee.
I think about that daily.
She said, he has 2 eyes. And I said, ma'am.
Where?
He does not know that.
When police, firefighters, and EMTs arrived at the scene, they gave Teka blankets and sheets to wrap around the bottom half of her body. They were shocked by her coherency and continued to ask her if she was injured. When she was finally able to show them what was hidden underneath her shirt, she said they looked at her like they were going to throw up. She told them that her attacker lived in apartment number 4, so patrol officers made their way to the apartment. The door was locked, so they forced the door open, but couldn't find anyone inside. They found bloody towels. No, they said nobody lives here. They found
bled here, but that's all we got.
Yeah. Bloody towels and a metal bowl filled with water and washcloths. They closed off the crime scene and went to the leasing office to determine who lived in the apartment. Teka was rushed into emergency surgery where she woke up to see her husband and her baby girl. Teka learned that Miracle had been curled up at the very top of her stomach, which is why Veronica hadn't been able to reach her during either of her barbaric attempts at a C-section. She was too far up there to baby.
She said, I'm hiding.
She's so brave. She's so smart, girl.
She said, I'm hiding.
She also learned that the damage to her abdomen and organs would make it impossible for her to have any more children. Teka was heartbroken at the news, as she did want a bigger family, but was also just thankful that Miracle was there with her. Later that same day, 40-year-old Veronica, I don't know, I feel like this is like a French name, Deramu.
Okay.
I don't really care how I pronounce criminals' names, to be honest. Turned herself into police. In November of 2000, she couldn't hide anymore. They knew who she was. In November of 2010, she pleaded guilty to first-degree assault and entered an additional plea in which she acknowledged that prosecutors had enough evidence to also convict her for false imprisonment and attempted murder. Public defender Kim Robinson argued that the attempted first-degree murder charge would not hold up because there was no evidence that Deramu's intention was to kill Teka Adams, but Prince County District Judge Thurman H. Rhodes found that did not come out of my mouth. Found sufficient. I feel like I just had a tiny stroke. He found. I'm sorry. He found sufficient probable cause for all the charges. During the court proceedings, authorities said that Veronica had lured Teka from a Washington, D.C. homeless shelter to her apartment, where she held her captive for days and used box cutters to cut Teka's belly open in an attempt to take her baby. It was revealed in the court that Deramu's son, Derek Scott Quinn, helped her with her attack on Teka, specifically being the one to bind her hands together.
What? Where was he?
Yeah, I said a son. You have another person living there with you?
Yeah. Also, like, how hard is it to prove attempted murder when you hit someone with a fire poker 40
times in the head? Yeah.
Like, at the very least, attempted manslaughter. Like, you know that is something that can kill someone.
Right. Teka was there in the courtroom with her family to support her. Miracle Sky was dressed up in a pink outfit, complete with pink matching mittens, booties, and a hat. Cute girl. Veronica told the Prince George's County judge that Teka Adams had agreed to sell her the baby for $5,000. At this, Teka...
If she did, she probably didn't want it taken like that.
Yeah. At this, Teka lunged at Veronica and was escorted from the courtroom. Bad bitch
Fine.
alert.
Take me.
Yeah. Veronica Deramu was sentenced to 25 years in prison. After the hearing, Teka's father, Gregory Burnett, told reporters that being in court that day was hard on all of them. He explained, quote, Teka's my youngest daughter, so I felt she was trying to take my baby. It's unbelievable. I can't make sense of it all. Teka is doing much better physically and emotionally. Miracle kept me up all night last night. Baby Miracle truly is a miracle. The cards and letters have really meant a lot to Teka. She's read every one of them. End quote. Sweet. At the time of the hearing, Teka was having trouble sleeping at night because she was constantly reliving the attack. The family moved in with Teka's father, and while Teka was healing, baby Miracle was doing very well. He thanked the public for their donations and support of Teka and Miracle, letting them know that she had received enough clothes for the first 2 years of Miracle's life through the
Wow.
county social services agency, and they were more in need of monetary donations. When Teka's episode of I Survived aired in 2011, she, PJ, and Miracle had been able to get an apartment of their own in Washington, D.C., and they were very happy.
Cute.
There's not a lot of information on this case other than the I Survived episode, so that's as much as I know. Now,
do we know why?
No, I am going to talk to you a little bit about like the psychology of fetal abductions in general. I don't know Veronica's motive, but fetal abductions, also known as fetus snatching, fetus abduction, or fetal kidnapping, are actually an extremely rare crime of child abduction in which an at-term pregnant woman is kidnapped and her fetus is extracted through a crudely done cesarean section not performed by a medical professional. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, there were 18 recorded cases of fetal abduction in the United States occurring between 1983 and 2015, which is not a lot. And represents 6% of the 302 globally reported fetal abduction cases. As of 2023,
Whoa.
yeah.
It's a
Where's
lot.
all? Yeah.
Like,
Where everybody else?
Where's the most common place?
Yeah, I'm scared.
Where's the bulk of those?
As of 2023, there were 25 documented cases of successful fetal abductions. Of these 25 cases, there have been 4 cases in which the mother survived and 13 in which the baby survived. This does not include attempts of fetal abduction, like in Teka's case, in which the mother is severely injured but not killed and the fetus is not extracted. Fetal abduction is almost always perpetrated by a woman and comes as the result of very careful and organized planning. According to profiles of fetal abductors, they often start with a lie that the perpetrator is pregnant, that she may tell to her loved ones, or in an attempt to keep a romantic partner. Other motives may include wanting a child of one's own or attempting to replace a child that the perpetrator lost. She may intentionally gain weight or use a prosthetic stomach to give the illusion of pregnancy. Then she takes the fetus of an actual pregnant woman to claim the fetus as her own. In some situations, the abductor will cut her own reproductive organs and then contact a hospital to receive care for the baby and replicate the injuries of labor. If the fetus dies as a result of the attack, the perpetrator will claim she had a stillborn baby. There is one example of criminal fetal abduction in state institutions. The children of the disappeared in the Argentine Dirty War, in which children were delivered by cesarean extraction in a military hospital and then put up for adoption. And I wonder if that's like part of the contribution of like 302.
Sure.
Is this happened at like a mass rate at one point? But like I said, I don't know which of those, or if any of those was Veronica's motive.
It didn't seem like
because she had her own
children.
son. Yeah, she had her own son. She was 40 years old. Like, I don't think that she was at a place in her life where she was like really trying to conceive another baby. I really don't know. But the next story, I do know. Now, like I said, Tika's story was much shorter than I expected it to be, so I'm going to tell you a similar story, which I also found on I Survived. This one got much more media attention. So here's the story of Sarah Brady. On February 10th, 2005, 26-year-old Sarah Brady was a week overdue with her first child when one day she got a call from a woman who told her that she has received a baby shower gift of Sarah's. She explained that there must have been a mix-up because they were registered to the same online baby registry, and this woman's name was Sarah Brody.
How do these people find these women? Like,
I swear to God.
what?
They set up a time for Sarah Brady to come to Sarah Brody's apartment to pick up the gifts. She stopped by, picked up her packages, and headed back home. She said Brody was very nice and normal, and her husband was actually really excited for her to have potentially made a friend who was going to have a baby the same age as theirs.
Oh, no.
This is the difference between white husbands and black husbands, I feel like. Is like white husbands are doing stupid shit, and they're like, yes, trust people that you don't know.
You get to make a friend. And PJ's
Yeah.
like, watch the fuck out.
Yeah, I'm not kidding around with you. When they got another call from Brody that night claiming she had received another package of theirs, Sarah took the opportunity to get to know Brody better. They talked about how 22-year-old Brody became pregnant and then moved with her husband to Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, where they hadn't had a chance to really meet anyone yet. She told Sarah she was getting induced the next day, so Sarah would have to come by that morning to get the package. Sarah said, "Girl, it can wait. Doesn't seem like a good day to stop by." But Brody was insistent that she be there the next morning. Sarah's brother was hesitant about her going, but she assured him that she had met Sarah Brody already and she really liked her. He's got some common sense. He said, "Wait a second. She's being induced tomorrow and she's begging you to come to her house first? That's weird."
Mm-hmm.
But Sarah arrived back at Brody's apartment at about 10 a.m. the next morning to see Brody already standing in the doorway waiting for her. On the phone the night before, Brody had told Sarah how excited her husband was to meet her, but when she got inside the apartment, she realized the two women were alone there. Brody locked the door behind them, telling Sarah that she had a nosy neighbor and wasn't trying to be weird. She was like, "I promise it's like totally normal that I did that."
I mean, I do lock the door right behind people when they walk in my
Yeah.
house, but I also don't make up excuses about it.
Yeah.
I just do it.
I like safety.
Yeah.
Sarah grabbed her package and was ready to head out, but Brody stopped her and asked if she could give her a tour of the apartment. Sarah reluctantly agreed and followed her into the bedroom. When the two women walked into the bedroom, the first thing Sarah saw...
Don't tell me. There's no furniture.
No, there is furniture, but there's weird shit on it.
Uh-oh.
Was a framed magazine cover of the cast of Sex and the City, in which all of their faces had been scratched out and new names had been written above their heads, with one of the names being Sarah.
Did they have new faces or they're just dead?
They're just gone.
Cool.
On the nightstand, she also saw an inhaler with the name Katie Smith on the prescription. As Sarah was taking in the strange photo and decorations around the bedroom, Brody gestured to the car keys still in her hand and said, "Why are you still holding your car keys? Are they your security blanket?"
Bitch, you're about to be induced. I'm ready
And
to leave.
I'm leaving. Sarah was beginning to realize that this was not a safe situation. After having tried to leave for 30 minutes, they finally walked out of the bedroom. They have been in this bedroom for 30 minutes. Maybe not, because they did talk a minute when they got the packages, but still, that's a long time. As they walked out of the bedroom, Brody collapsed on the floor and began screaming in pain. She was going into labor. At that moment, Sarah forgot how uncomfortable this new friend had made her, and she wanted to
No.
help her.
Run, Sarah.
This is your chance. She's down. She's out.
She's still a weirdo. Remember the magazine.
Yeah. She began to ask her if her water had broken, who she could call for her, which hospital she could take her to. Instead of answering, Brody gripped onto Sarah's arms and gave her what Sarah called a demonic look. Sarah tried to leave once she got that look, but before she could even get to the front door, Brody caught up with her and was suddenly fine.
Yeah.
She calmly told her, I actually don't think my water broke.
I'm good.
Bitch, what the fuck? It was like nothing at all had happened. Sarah was like, Sarah highly suggested Brody call her doctors and tell them what had happened. She reluctantly agreed and stepped into the bedroom where Sarah could hear that what she was sure was a fake phone call.
Why are you not leaving?
Why do you still think she's pregnant?
Yeah. The moment she turned her back, open that door, girl.
Exactly. Once Brody hung up the phone, she came back into the living room and tried to give Sarah some coupons, which were clearly addressed again to Katie Smith. At this point, it was clear to Sarah that this woman was lying about her identity. She just couldn't figure out why. Finally, Sarah insisted it was time for her to leave. They walked to the front door, and the woman, who Sarah knows is actually named Katie now, is trying to hug her, and Sarah is trying to pull away and get out the door, and as she pushes Katie away, she sees that she is holding a knife, a hunting knife. Before Sarah had time to register...
How do you let her get through that whole fake phone call, dude?
How are you still doing
Sarah,
that?
I'm rooting for you, girl, but that was your opening.
Yeah. Before Sarah had time to register what might be happening, she knocked the knife out of Katie's hand. Katie looked back at her and said, "You're not going anywhere, you fucking bitch." At this point, Sarah was leaning against the back of a love seat in the living room, and Katie flipped her over it. Sarah landed on her stomach, and Katie jumped on her back. She was...
Why?
I know.
You want to steal that baby. Don't do that.
It seems, what the hell? She was hitting Sarah on the side of the head, and Sarah realized she was going to die. That's when she decided to fight for her own life and the life of her baby. She threw Katie off of her and ran for the front door, but it was still locked. She was trying to get it open, but was struggling with the locks. Again, because there are so many. Because these bitches know they're criminals. As she was trying with the locks, she said she could hear Katie's breath back on her... she could, I guess, feel Katie's breath back on her neck. I don't know why I wrote here. Katie began to slam Sarah's head into the glass door of the apartment.
It's glass. Can people see her?
I swear to God. It's 10 a.m. Maybe they're not out yet. She put Sarah in a chokehold and pulled her back into the apartment. She dragged her by the hair into the apartment and began punching Sarah in the face. Sarah said at this point that her motherly instincts kicked in and she began to fight back. Her goal was to knock Katie out so that she could get away. Once she thought Katie was down, Sarah stood up, but Katie stood right up with her. She held onto Sarah's face and began brushing her hair away, telling her she didn't want to hurt her and that they needed to begin cleaning the apartment before her husband came home. Sarah wanted to go to the hospital to have both of their babies checked on. And as she was crying and pleading with Katie, Katie got the knife back out. Sarah began to cry and said to her, "Katie, please." And that was the point that she really snapped.
She hadn't said her name yet?
Mm-mm. Hearing Sarah use her real first name was a breaking point, and she charged at her with the knife. Sarah grabbed the knife and began twisting it away from her and back toward Katie. She managed to stab Katie in the shoulder, thinking it would be enough to subdue her as she escaped. She finally managed to get out of the apartment and flagged down a passing car, which took her to the hospital. At the hospital, police told Sarah that Katie hadn't made it.
What?
She died.
She was stabbed in the shoulder.
Evidently, she had hit a major artery.
Wow.
They also, well, that was like her thing, where she was like, no, I stabbed her in the shoulder. Like,
yeah.
Kind of intentionally.
I barely thought I'd get away.
Yeah, I did not want to kill that woman.
What the hell?
They also informed her that Katie had never been pregnant. She said they asked her, why did you think that woman was pregnant? And she said, because I met her and she was pregnant. Why do you think? They also, sorry, I already said that part. Inside Katie Smith's apartment, they had found a maternity suit, umbilical cord clamp, and a surgical kit. She had been carrying around an ultrasound picture of someone else's twin fetuses and had been wearing maternity clothes filled with padding. This led investigators to believe that she had planned to kill Sarah and take her baby in order to pass her off as her own after faking a pregnancy to her family. They later learned that Katie had faked 11 pregnancies dating back to 8th grade.
Oh, no.
She had faked stillbirths, sat through baby showers, and collected money from loved ones for funerals through all of these fake pregnancies. Sarah Brady was absolved of all crimes and never charged, as the Commonwealth Attorney Bill Crockett determined that she had fully acted in self-defense. After the ordeal with Katie Smith, Sarah gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Michaela Grace and is a wonderful mother.
Nice.
The end. Highly recommend I Survived if you have not watched I Survived. It's so good. You can find a lot of the episodes on YouTube, and there are others that you can pay for to stream. It's so good. Mary Vincent, that I told a while back, I also caught on I Survived. So good. But yes.
Yeah. Man.
Scary.
That's sad that she's done this 11 times, though.
I know. Well, I think that where she's like holding her face and she's like, we have to clean up. Like, it just, and openly having that magazine cover out, like, this woman was like obviously mentally ill. And I think also like it seemed to me anyway that even though I know like Sarah Brady did what she had to do, I think it weighs very heavily on her that she killed her. Like, and again, like she was shocked to hear that. She was like, no, like I got her in the shoulder. Like, there's no way. And like, it's very unfortunate that she's like got that on her conscience now. But yeah, that one is, I think it's sad. The other woman, I don't know what you're doing, Veronica. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you.
She killed this girl with a stab to the shoulder, but we can't get attempted murder.
Yeah.
For Veronica
hitting Teka in the head
40 times.
Fireplace poker blows
after beating her with her fists.
Right.
Wow.
But she left this woman's apartment holding her intestines.
Yeah. If someone had just left her on those steps, she probably would have died.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah. I usually don't love survival stories, but those were good.
It just like it's
Not that I want people to die.
No, but like I think that like what drew me to each of those cases, because both of those cases I am like, whoa, like crazy. The Tika's stomach.
Yeah.
The second I heard that, I said, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And the magazine cover. I was like, those things like have stuck in my brain since the first time I heard those cases. And I was like, this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And like, but like so interesting. Yeah, the amount of successful fetal abduction cases in the US are so few that if you look up fetal abductions on Wikipedia, you can see every single one, like what happened, like
Whoa.
are all there, because there just aren't a lot.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Not a lot of people do survive them. So powerful, Teka and Sarah.
Yeah.
Also, like, Teka just seems so fucking cool. Like the way she's talking about it, like she's like her mind is blown. Like she's like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. Yeah. If Tika's video or Tika's part of I Survived is not on YouTube from I Survived, but people have posted it on YouTube after recording it. You should watch it. It's crazy to hear it from her perspective, and like the way she talks about it, she's like, I cannot believe this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a picture of her and PJ and Miracle at the end.
Cute. Cute taste.
If you haven't checked it out yet, we have a bonus episode up on YouTube this week, YouTube only. And is a new category of bonus episode, Untold Histories. And it's mostly Katie telling us about the Leesburg, is that right? Stockade, which I had never heard of. I learned so much, and you should too.
Yeah. That's all.
Bye.
Bye.